The stage lights dimmed, and for a heartbeat, everything went silent. Then came the first gentle notes, a soft guitar, a bass line steady as a heartbeat, and two voices that blended like old friends. Our love is alive. In that moment, Suzi Quatro and Chris Norman didn't just sing a duet, they captured lightning in a bottle. For decades, Stumblin' In has been more than a song. It's been a memory, a snapshot of the late 1970s, when two artists collided by chance and created something timeless. But behind the melody, behind the smiles on stage, there was a story that Suzi Quatro had never fully told, until now. At 75, the leather-clad queen of rock, the woman who broke through a male-dominated world with her bass guitar and defiant charm, finally opened up about the man who shared one of the most unforgettable moments of her career. And the truth isn't scandal, it's sincerity. It's friendship, chemistry, respect, and the reminder that some connections don't fade with time. Stay until the end. Because Suzi's story is more than nostalgia. It's the living proof that even legends stumble into magic when they least expect it. Before she was a star, Suzi Quatro was just a girl in Detroit, Michigan, growing up in a working-class neighborhood where music poured from every radio and car window. Detroit was a city built on engines and soul factories by day, Motown by night. Her father, Art Quatro, was a band leader. Her mother encouraged creativity at every turn. In the Quatro household, dinner was often served between rehearsals and guitar chords. By age 7, Suzi was tapping rhythms on furniture, already dreaming of a stage bigger than her living room. In a time when girls were expected to play it safe, Suzi wanted danger, the kind that lived inside rock and roll. She learned bass because no one else wanted to. It was heavy, it was difficult, and that made it perfect. By her teens, she formed the Pleasure Seekers with her sisters, one of the first all-female rock bands in the world. They weren't a novelty act, they were the real deal, sweating under hot stage lights, hauling their own amps, and proving night after night that they could rock just as hard as any man. Audiences didn't know what to make of them. Girls in leather playing their own instruments? It was unheard of. But when Suzi's bass thundered through the crowd, disbelief turned into awe. Something was happening. A door had cracked open, and Suzi was about to kick it down. In the early 1970s, destiny came calling in the form of Mickey Most, the British producer behind countless hits. He saw something in Suzi, not just talent, but electricity. "Come to London," he told her. "The world's waiting." It was a terrifying proposition. Leave Detroit, leave her family, start over in a country where she knew no one. But Suzi had never been afraid of risk. She packed her bass, her leather jumpsuit, and her determination, and boarded a plane bound for London. What she found there changed everything. In Britain, rock wasn't just music, it was a movement. The crowds were hungry for something new, something real. And Suzi Quatro, the petite American with a bass bigger than her torso, was about to give it to them. Then came 1973, Can the Can, a raw, explosive track that hit #1 in the UK, selling over 2 million copies. Suddenly, she wasn't just a curiosity, she was a sensation. Her image, leather-clad, hair slicked back, bass slung low, became iconic. She wasn't pretending to be tough, she was tough. She'd fought for every inch of space she took up on that stage. And when she sang, the world listened. For every young woman who had been told to step aside, Suzi was living proof that talent had no gender. Through the mid-1970s, Suzi Quatro became unstoppable. Her string of hits, 48 Crash, Devil Gate Drive, The Wild One, turned her into a global powerhouse. She toured relentlessly, often playing to sold-out arenas across Europe and Australia. But what made her stand apart wasn't just her music. It was her presence. On stage, she wasn't trying to be sexy or sweet. She was commanding. She played bass lines with muscle and sang with conviction. "I wasn't trying to be a man," she once said. "I was trying to be myself." That honesty made her revolutionary. Before Suzi, women in rock were often treated as novelties or backup singers. After Suzi, they became leaders. Joan Jett called her an inspiration. So did Debbie Harry and Chrissie Hynde. The Runaways patterned their look and sound after her. she'd become the spark that set off a generation. Hollywood noticed too. In 1977, she joined the cast of Happy Days as Leather Tuscadero, the cool, confident musician who won over both Fonzie and America. Millions of viewers suddenly saw the same woman who had conquered the stage now bringing that power to TV screens. And yet, Suzi never let fame consume her. Between tours, she wrote, composed, and continued performing. She wasn't chasing trends. She was building a legacy. Still, under the bright lights, there was always a quieter side. When the curtain fell and the applause faded, she was just Suzi again. A woman balancing art, love, and the loneliness that fame never cures. Amid the whirlwind of fame, Suzi found a partner in Len Tucky, her guitarist and creative ally. Their chemistry extended beyond the stage, and in 1976 they married. It wasn't the typical rock and roll romance. It was built on shared music, shared sweat, and the quiet understanding of two people who knew the price of the spotlight. They settled in a stately manor house in Essex, England, a symbol of how far she'd come from Detroit's blue-collar streets. There, between world tours and recording sessions, Suzi became a mother. 2 children, laughter in the halls, a home that echoed with both guitars and bedtime stories. But balancing motherhood with global fame was a struggle no tour manager could schedule. Suzi would step off a plane from Tokyo one day and be back in the kitchen making breakfast the next. "I wanted both," she said later. "The music and the family, and somehow I made it work." Still, love doesn't always survive fame's demands. By 1992, the marriage ended. Suzi stayed in the Essex manor, raising her children and guarding that house like a sanctuary, a place where the woman behind the legend could breathe again. She later remarried Rainer Haas, a German concert promoter whose steady nature gave her peace. Between England, Hamburg, and Detroit, Suzi lived a life split across continents but united by one constant: music. Even as the years passed, her rhythm never slowed, but one song, one moment, would always bring her back to 1978, to the man whose voice still lingered beside hers. It was never meant to be a classic. In 1978, producer Mike Chapman paired Suzi with Chris Norman, frontman of the soft rock band Smokey. The idea was simple: 2 hitmakers recording a single duet. But when they started singing Stumblin' In, something unexpected happened. Their voices blended like old souls who had known each other forever. Her strength, his warmth, a balance so perfect it couldn't have been planned. From the first take, Suzi recalled, "I knew it was special. Chris was kind, calm, no ego. He made it easy." For a woman used to controlling every note of her music, that ease was rare. With Chris, she said, "I could let go." It felt like sharing, not competing. The result was magic. Stumblin' In hit number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 in America and became a worldwide success, selling millions. Fans fell in love with the chemistry between them, the teasing smiles, the warmth in their eyes, the way their voices seemed to lean into each other. Inevitably, rumors followed. Was it more than just music? Suzi never hid their closeness, but she was always clear. "People love to imagine romances behind the scenes," she laughed. "The truth? We adored each other, but it was friendship. We were both married, and we respected that. What we had was something deeper, a musical bond that doesn't happen often in a lifetime." Even now, she smiles when she speaks his name. Chris was a gentleman. He made me feel safe, understood. That's why it worked. Behind the microphones, there was laughter, long talks, and an unspoken respect that carried far beyond the studio walls. The duet didn't just top charts, it humanized Suzi Quatro. For once, the fierce rocker revealed a softer, more vulnerable side. Decades later, Stumblin' In still follows her everywhere. Concert halls, interviews, airports, someone always mentions it. And Suzi doesn't mind. "I'll always be the leather-clad rocker," she says, "but I'll also always be the voice on that duet with Chris. I'm proud of that. It showed another side of me, gentle, open, human." Time has deepened her gratitude. Suzi and Chris remain friends, occasionally reuniting to celebrate anniversaries of the song that changed both their lives. "When we meet now," she said, "it's like no time has passed. The laughter comes back instantly. That's rare. That's real." To her, Stumblin' In isn't about romance. It's about connection. It's a song about love's uncertainty, she reflected, about walking into something unexpected. Everyone has done that, no matter how old they are. That's why it still touches people. And maybe that's the secret to its immortality. It wasn't just written, it was felt. At 75, Suzi Quatro still tours, records, and radiates that same unstoppable energy. Her albums, from Back to the Drive to No Control, show that the fire never went out. Her bass still growls. Her voice still commands. She is proof that passion doesn't age, it just deepens. When Suzi looks back now, her story reads like a song. Verses of struggle, choruses of triumph, and a melody that never loses its rhythm. From the girl in Detroit who picked up a bass too big for her hands, to the woman who defied every rule in rock and roll, to the artist who found a lifelong friend in a song that touched millions. Her journey reminds us that legends aren't born, they're built. One note, one choice, one risk at a time. Stumblin' In, she said softly, was a gift. And Chris was part of that gift. I'll always be grateful for the music we made, and for the way it still connects people after all these years. The lights fade, the echoes linger. And somewhere, deep in the timeless hum of rock history, Suzi Quatro's bass still rumbles, steady, fearless, and alive. Because some stories never end, they just keep playing. If you've enjoyed this story of love, friendship, and rebellion, don't forget to like and subscribe because more untold Hollywood and music legends are coming soon.